Okay, so now we're back. What we were doing was we were in the process of trying to figure out what an exponent is and how they kind of work. So what you need to know from this definition is that an exponent, the type of math that is involved with exponent, is what type of math? Multiplication. If you notice in the definition, it uses the word factor. What does factor mean in math world? Yeah?
A factor is like the number and sign is changed.
Oh, I. Okay. So a factor, yes, is. Did I touch it? Maybe I did. I don't even know. So a factor is the number used in a multiplication problem, right? So if we are looking at the exponent, we are looking at a number, and the exponent tells us how many times to multiply that number. But how many of you remember, like in the very first lesson that I ever taught you, one of the things that I shared with you was, when you play with zeros, what does it make your life? Easier. So, we're not going to start into hard stuff like this. Because if I start doing things like this, then what's going to happen is some of you in the audience are going to start to feel like you're getting confused, and then your confidence is going to then fall. And when your confidence falls, then it's hard for me to pick you back up. If you can believe in yourself and know that you can do it, then you'll be successful because you believe that you will be successful. So instead of starting with exponents that have like whole numbers like 2 and 4 and 6 and 8, we're going to actually start with tens. Because a 10 has a 0, and when you play with zeros, it makes your life easier. So I want you to look up here for just a moment. Okay, actually I'll do it over here so our kids at home can see. Okay, so if I have an exponent a base, that is a 10, right? Let's go with what we know. Our base, let's review, which is the big number, right? And the exponent, which is the little tiny number next to it, is going to tell me how many times I'm supposed to multiply my base. So who can tell me, what does this mean? What kind of math would I be doing here? Allie.
So you're gonna do 10 times 10.
And then that would be our answer, right? So the fast way that we learn to do this, since both of my numbers end with zeros and playing with zero makes your life easier, you just simply multiply the two numbers that you see there together. What is 1 times 1, everybody? 1. And then you put the 2 zeros in your problem back into your answer. So how many zeros will go into my answer?
2.
So here's what this tells me. That 10 to the second power is equal to 100. That's what it means. Now, that's working it out the long way. Do you want to know the shortcut? Shortcut's very simple. If you ever have a number that ends with a 0, all you have to do is take the number in the front, write it down, and the exponent tells you how many zeros are in your answer. That's it. So, if it wasn't, let's do another one. If it wasn't 10 to the second power, but let's say it was 10 to the fourth power. Well, instead of doing 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, the shortcut is to, Hallie? Put your 1 down, add 4 zeros. And there's your answer. That's the shortcut. This is the long way, showing your work. The other is the shortcut. Which way would you use it if you were smart? Dominic. The shortcut. Don't take the long way to get somewhere. If you can get there quickly, using the shortcut. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. Now, that chart that you saw on the slide, that's what this chart is showing you. It says if I have 10 to the 1 power, what's my answer? 10. If I have 10 to the 2nd power, what's my answer? 10 to the 3rd power, 10 to the 4th power, 10 to the 5th power. Is it necessary that you write that big giant crap in your notes? No. That's why I told you, don't just copy stuff down. Wait and see if it makes sense first. If it does, and you understand it, then you probably don't need that stuff. But what you do need is that definition. You do need to tell yourself that an exponent tells me how many times to use the base as a factor. Okay? Now, let's try some that don't have ones in the front. Okay? All right. Let's try this. So instead of just playing with all 10s, let's play with like another number. Let's play with like 48. Okay. Let's do 48 times 10 to the 3rd power.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, gosh, this is looking really scary. No, it's not. Because you're going to take the shortcut. If both of these were 10s, you would have just multiplied the 1 times the 1, right? But this isn't a 10 over here. This is now a 48. So what are we going to multiply now? What are we going to multiply, Colin? 48 times 1. What's 48 times 1?
48.
Wow, you can do that easily in your head. So you have 48. The exponent tells me how many zeros to put in my answer. How many zeros do I need?
3.
1, 2, 3. You're done.
Wow. Sounds easy.
Now, I want you to try one in your notes. Okay? See how this can be kind of fun? All right, let's try one. So instead of doing 48, this time let's do, what? 28. Okay, I heard 28. 28 times what, Xander? 10 to the what power? What? 2 to the 2 power. Okay. All right, that's what he wants. There's your math problem. 28 times 10 to the 2nd power.
Done.
Good.
Done. That was easy.
What's our answer here on 3? Shout it out. 1, 2, 3. 2. I think I heard majority of you say the right number. 28 times 1 is 28. My exponent says to put 2 zeros in my answer. 2,800. Is that what you said? Good. Who got it? All right. That's like almost all of you. So, is the shortcut easy? Yes. All right. So, I'm going to take a second of your time, and I want you to practice these 3 right here. Okay? Numbers 1, 2, and 3. Now, I know the exponents are tiny and they're hard to see from the back, so I'll just tell you. For number 1, the exponent is a 1. For number 2, the exponent's a 2. And for number 3, the exponent's a 3.
Okay, that's easy.
You should probably solve these in 30 seconds. All of them.
I have a question.
What?
Whenever you're typing, how do you get the one piece so small? How do you get them
Like when I made the PowerPoint,
Yeah,
I had to like highlight it and then tell it to make the font size
that sounds hard.
it took me a lot of work. It was really good. But I couldn't think, you know. I couldn't just do it like from the book because I don't like how the book teaches it. Are you ready for answers?
No, I have a question.
What?
For the exponents, are they does it go from 1 to 3?
Yes. This is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3.
Okay, so yeah.
All right, so I want and write the answer on the board for number 1. I want Addison to come up and write the answer for number 2. Connor L, you're coming up and doing number 1. Number 2 is Addison, and number 3, Allie, hop on up here, girl. No, she's hopping. She's hopping up here. Just go to this side, Allie.
Wow.
Okay. I'll help you. Over here. So, right there, times 2 times 10.
400 times 10 power 3. They cut it.
We're going to multiply 52 times 1.
Probably right.
That's 1. Write that down because that's going to be part of your answer. And then what is this excellent This tells me how many zeros go in my answer. So if I have 1, let's simply select it first. She had to do 38 times 1. Because her 38. That's 1 plus a 2. She put 0. One more, come down here. This one was a little bit tougher. 4 times 1 was 4. Should have put the 3 into her answer. Well, actually, it was 40 times 1, but she put 40. And then she should have put 3. She has to put 2 minutes. Okay. All right, are we ready to kind of see how they did?
Yes.
All right, so for number 1, 52 times 10 to the 1 power should be 520. Did you get that? Number 2, 38 times 10 to the 2nd power should be 3,800. Now the last one was a little bit different. So because the number in the front actually had some zeros with it, didn't it? So you could have solved this a couple of different ways. One of the ways that you could have solved it, so I'm going to write this out, 400 times 10 to the 3rd power. Allie worked on this one. You could have said 400 times 1 is 400. Okay. And then add how many zeros? 3. That's one way you could have done it. Is that how you did it, Allie?
Yes.
Okay. That's one way you could have done it. So, did any of you just look at this like a 4?
Yes.
You did? You did?
But I didn't put the answer on.
So if you did, Shane and a couple of other people did this. They did 4 times 1. So you have 4. But remember, like these 2 zeros, they're still part of the answer. So you would have had to put those 2, then 3 more. And that would have given you the same answer at the end. I just think it's easier to use the number in the front altogether, so you don't get confused. Okay. All right. How does this feel?
Good.
Does it feel like we need more time on this?
No.
Any questions on this?
No.
Okay. What if I do this to you? What?
So, never mind.
Okay.
I actually mistakes the 1 till 2. It's like a
So let's try something instead of jumping to a new slide. All right. I'm going to challenge your brain for a minute. All right. So what happens if? Where'd my marker go? Oh, it's in my here. Okay. All right. What happens if instead of me giving you all of the stuff that you need, what if I take some of that stuff away?
Oh no.
Okay, so let's look at something like that. What if I said 36 times blank equals 360,000.
That is so easy.
So I didn't give you the power of 10. You've got to figure out what's missing.
You want to write down the
So most of this you probably don't even need to write. Now you could if you wanted to kind of put it as a note. But we got to figure out what's the missing power of 10. Tessa thinks she knows. Hallie thinks she knows. Braden, Xander, Dominic, Addison, Colin, Mason, Allie. Oh my gosh, like the whole crowd thinks they know. But Tessa was the first girl I saw. So Tessa,
4.
what am I going to need on my blank line?
10.
So how did I say that, Tessa? 10 to the 4th power. That's what I would do. Perfect. How did she figure that out so easily? Well, because she worked backwards. She said, my answer has a 36, and I see that right here. So how many zeros are left? 4. That's my exponent. Okay, try one of those on your own. Ready? Here we go. Let's do 207 times blank equals 2,070,000.
That's like, oh, I see what happened.
No, it's not. And see how you're gaining confidence here? You're like, I can do this, I can do this. Right. What's the missing power of 10, Mason? I.
10 by the power of 4.
Yes, 10 to the 4th power.
Woohoo!
We knew that because here's our number we started with. And how many zeros are behind that? 4. Marvelous. Okay. I think we're feeling comfortable, but that's not the end of lesson 3. There's a little bit more. So not only do we have to know how to multiply powers of 10, we also have to know how to divide. Okay? So, dividing. Is dividing something that should scare us?
No.
No. In the last lessons that we learned, like if I was going to say the name of a place, remember what we learned in like, I don't know, I think it was the first lesson. We said if I'm in the hundreds place and I want to know what place is 10 times that, what did we learn we just do? What's the shortcut? What do we do, Hallie? We just add a 0 to our answer. So instead of it being the hundreds place, what's an extra 0 make? The thousands place. So we learned that when we play with multiplications, we add the 0 to our answer. What did we learn we do when we play with division?
We take away.
Take it away. This is the same here. You're just going to take it away. All right, so we better practice some of these. So the one that they give me here, which looks kind of spooky, is this big giant puppy. Okay.
It looks easy.
All right. Here we go. Everybody, let's write this example. You gotta have your mask on, James. Here we go. The example is 31 billion. Everybody write that number on their paper. Divided by 10 to the 5th power.
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
Okay. So, since this is the first one we've done together, some of you out there are like easy peasy. Some people are like, not real sure, but I think. So let's do this one together. Okay? The first thing we're going to do, just like when we multiplied, the first thing we did was multiply. So the first thing we're going to do now is divide. So what's 31 divided by 1? 31, right? Okay. Now, if the exponent is a 5, because I'm not multiplying, I'm dividing, what am I going to do to all those zeros, Addison? Yes. So here go these 5s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're gone. How many are left in the answer? 3. 3. There's your final answer. Oh, I missed that one. So sorry. Thank you for finding my boo-boo.
Your boo-boo.
Miss Malone made a mistake.
Yeah, because I'm a human and all humans mess up. So we should have what? 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Okay, that's it. Now remember, this is so simple because what are we playing with? When you're not playing with zeros, it does get a little bit trickier, but not a lot. So I don't want you to lose your confidence. Right now what I'm doing is building your confidence. I'm getting you to see you can do this stuff. Even though it looks tough, you can do it. And so when the harder stuff comes, you won't be afraid of it because you already know how to do it. All right, so here's what I want you to do. Get your Chromebook out. All right. So your Chromebook should have your online math book. I want all of you to get to your online math book. Now, you don't really have to go into your Google Classroom to find it because you should have saved it as a favorite at the top of your computer screen. So you should just be able to, once you log into your computer, click your math book and open it right up.
I made it a short time.
Good.
Because I thought it was easier.
All right. So the first thing we're going to take a moment just to say one more time, because this happens a lot. Your online math book has pages that are down here. See them? This is the computer pages. So this says that the computer says this is page 1. We don't really call this page 1 because this is our title page for us. So when Miss Malone talks about page numbers of your math book, do not use the computer pages. Use the actual page numbers in the book. So what I want you to do is turn to page 9. Let's find it. So we have to hit our little arrow until we find not computer page 9, but book page 9. Okay? And if you need to make it bigger, then simply click your magnifying glass. Come down here, you'll see a plus sign, hit it. It makes things larger. And now you can kind of move around the page. Okay, so let's look and see. Hold on. Well, we're going to move on while you were waiting for yours. You can kind of use mine if yours is lagging. Okay, so let's look at the first set of problems up here. Number 7 all the way through number 15. The directions say find each product or quotient. It's basically asking you to multiply a number by a power of 10. Do we know how to do that now? Yes. Let's move to this, and some of them are not just multiplication, some are division. So you got to be careful. Don't just get in a groove where you go so fast that you multiply all of them, because then on problem number 13, you're going to have a mistake because you were supposed to divide, not multiply. All right? Let's move to 16 through 21. Now this one says find the missing power of 10. Did we learn how to do that? Yes, we did. We learned how to do that. Okay. Let's move to 22 through 27. This says write each number as a power of 10. Did we do that? We didn't do that. Let's jump back to our screen for a second. Miss Malone will. You can just freeze where you are. Okay. All right. That's one part we did not practice. So let's check it out. What if they just give me a number? Like, I don't know, 97. And they want, oh wait, not 97. It's got to be 9,700. And they want you to take that number and they want you to put it as a power of 10. So what they're asking you is, what number times 10 to the what power would give you 9,700?
Okay.
So let's do this one together. What number would go on my first line there? Sophie, what number would go on my first line? 97. Now, the power of 10 that I need is where I'm going to use those extra zeros. So what's my power of 10 going to look like, Xander? Perfect. That's how you do those. So if they give you a number and they want you to tell what that is as a power of 10, you have to break it down into those two parts. All right? This is what your practice is going to be tonight for homework. Okay? I'm kind of changing your homework a little bit. I didn't even give you homework last night, so don't be like,
I did.
well, the other classes did. So tonight for homework, you will have, yours is going to be a little bit different. You're going to do the problems on the page that I just loaded you to. Okay? Not the workbook page, because the workbook page actually has some stuff on it that we haven't gotten to yet. So because this class period just gets chopped, chopped up. So your assignment is going to be to do what Google slide number, I think it's 11 says to do, which is basically using your online book, complete the odd numbers on that page. You're going to start with number 7 and you're going to stop at number 27, I believe. No, because we're not going all the way to the end. Stop at number 27. Okay?
Oh, this is easy.
And it shouldn't take you any amount of time. Look how fast you all got those answers done a minute ago when we did them together. So, book, page 9, and you're going to do problems 7 through 27 odds. Only the odds. So like 7, and then 9, and then 11, and then 13, and so on. So that's not many problems, but I just want you to practice a little bit of what we did today. This is lesson 3. Does it feel pretty comfortable?
Yes.
Okay, tomorrow we'll check that and see how well you're doing. All right, I think we are, hang on one second.